Well, I want to start with a request. Being at 11 o'clock, even though there's only a few of us, do you want to stand up for a second and shake it out? Do you need to? Feel free to do that because I want you fully alert for what I've got to share with you today. It's going to be worth your time. Now, I want to ask, can I have a volunteer? Anyone? Someone willing to volunteer? Thank you. Please come up. I appreciate that. Going to have you come right up here on stage. What's your name?
Adam.
Adam. So nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you for volunteering. I wanted to bring you up here and say, please have a copy of my latest book. Thank you, Adam. Great. Round of applause for Adam. All right. Well done. Perfect score. You're welcome to return. And you got some extra steps in. It's all bonus from here. Okay, now I need a second volunteer. Second, yeah, see a hand comes up right away. All right, you don't have to do anything. Tell me, why did everyone else hesitate before volunteering? Why do you think? Fear, yes. Get specific. Sorry? Preoccupation. I'm doing something else, or I'm focused on something else. Good. What else? Yeah, I'm feeling shy, don't like getting up on stage. Okay, great. Now, Adam comes up to the stage. Then I ask, who else would like to volunteer? What's the difference between the first time I asked and the second time I asked that influences your desire to volunteer? What's now different the second time I asked?
Know the outcome.
Now we've seen what happens. Adam was okay when he came up here. I didn't do anything embarrassing to him. He got a free gift. So now there's a bit of an incentive, and you're thinking, maybe I could get a free book, or what else? Maybe the second prize is even bigger, right? This is disruption. So when we see there's something coming and we're not quite sure, we tend to hesitate. I don't want to be the first. So to illustrate this, I love using a good metaphor. Let's jump in. What are we looking at here? Who recognizes this picture?
Running of the bulls.
Running of the bulls. It happens once a year in the country of Spain. Love this audience. Good. And it's a great metaphor for disruption. Who is our disruption in this shot? It's clearly the bulls. And look what we've got up here. If you squint, this person is actually smiling. They're wearing red. They're a big target. And he's happy to be there. Right? This is great. I might get killed, but I'm excited. Now, people remind me at this point, the reason why he's smiling is because there are several individuals between him and the bulls. But we're not going to focus on that. What else is happening here? Well, we got folks along the side of the road. When you think about disruption, difficult change, we need them too. We need the cheerleaders, those people we can hear saying, go, keep going. You can make it. It's going to be good if you make it to the end. What else? There are other folks that when they first heard about disruption and change said, okay, I can do this. And then they got out there and realized, I can't do this. I'm struggling. And now I'm concerned. There might be a threat to my safety, so they get off towards the side, which is okay because in good organizations, there's also individuals that are there to pick them up off the ground, dust them off, maybe give them a few tips about how to survive the disruption, the bulls, and get back out there. But in this picture, there's one group where I'm extra fascinated. Here they are, back of the room. So we see people in organizations that when the big change comes, they're there, they're in the room, they're saying, yeah, we get it, nod their heads, I'm in full support. And I say, yeah, but you're a bit removed from the action. Wouldn't you like to move up, get a bit closer? No. I've got the t-shirt. They're wearing red. Isn't that good enough? Many different reactions when disruption comes to town. Let's look at it from a psychological point of view. Now, I want to note, no expenses spared when it comes to graphics today, okay? Look at this. Boom, disruption. And what do people tend to do? We've heard these words before. Some will fight it. They want to push back. Others want to run away. We actually don't see that much of it within organizations when they're faced with disruption. We do see a lot of this, freeze. or that phrase you might hear, deer in the headlights. There's something significant coming. I'm not sure what to do. Maybe it's not been clearly communicated to me. I'm going to wait and see. Maybe this whole thing is going to go away if I wait long enough. In all the work that I do with organizations is to move them away from fight, flight, and freeze towards flourish. There it is. Because there are individuals like our man in red in front who love the change, love the disruption. They see the opportunity and they can't wait to embrace it. How do I do that? Well, I've been consulting in the area of leading change for 30 years now. And I looked back on all the work that I'd done and found there were 5 categories of interventions I do within organizations to help them, help their people navigate disruption. Now, I call it the strategy accelerator for an important reason. When disruption comes to town, we can't have knee-jerk reactions, oh, let's just do this. It may not be the right thing. So you need a strategy around it. Where are we going? Where's the goal? And once that's set, the faster we can get that strategy implemented, the faster we get results. If the idea is to take advantage of a market opportunity, if we wait too long, if we're too slow, the opportunity will pass us by. And the cost of that could come in thousands, millions of dollars. So my work is always around accelerating strategy, and to do that, I work on the people side of change to help them dance with disruption. So we're going to work around these 5 components of the accelerator. We'll do it in a linear fashion, but when I apply it, they all get applied at once, in parallel. So keep that in mind. Number 1, clarity. Almost everything, if not everything, has a communication component. If we're not clearly communicating the goal and how to get there, people can't help us. They will never learn to dance with that disruption. So let's dig into this. Big change happens. Disruption is here. We need people to do something different. Leaders get in front of their audience, their employees, and they start talking to them about what's coming, what needs to be done. I often hear that the discussion looks like this. I'm going to bombard you with graphs, figures, numbers, until you agree with me. Many leaders do this. Now, there's an important place for return on investment, for market share. We want to be leaders in the industry. We're losing margin. All important numbers. But when we want people to follow where we're going to be able to navigate disruption, we need more than numbers. Numbers don't often inspire people. What do we need? Well, there's 3 particular elements that we need to convey when it comes to clarity. The first one, if I asked you, you would get it immediately. How many folks know the acronym WIFM? What's in it for me? Self-interest always comes first. That's not necessarily because we're selfish. It's because we want to protect ourselves. So, you need me to do something different? Does that provide a benefit, or are you just loading more work on my plate? And let's face it, a lot of the time it's I'm loading more work on your plate. So what's in it for me? What's practical? Is it going to save me time? Is it going to take away tasks that I never enjoyed doing? The second component is even more important, and that is around meaning, purpose, or as I refer to it, heart. There was a study done a few years ago, 1,500 office workers, and posed 2 questions. The first of which was, if you were looking in the jobs area and you saw another opportunity that offered more purpose, would you take it? 47% said yes. This is interesting. Not because it offered more benefits. In fact, if you go to a new job, you're actually unlocking a whole bunch of uncertainty. You don't know what that's going to be like. You don't know what your boss is going to be like until you get in there. But because it offered more purpose, they said, 47% said, yeah, I'll take it. The second question is even more fascinating. Let's say that your boss catches wind that you're interested in going to this other job and says, you know what, Dev, you are a very important employee here. We love you. We want to keep you. We're willing to give you a one-time bonus so that you'll stay. So the question was, up to how much could you be offered and you would still go and take that other job that offered more purpose. And on average, the devs of the world said $9,639. That means 10 grand, I would be able to leave WIFM, help, cold hard cash on the table to take something that offered more meaning, more purpose, that appealed to the heart. Doesn't stop there. Many times disruptions aren't over in a couple of months. If we're introducing a major technology change, it could take years. So we also speak to hope. Even if you're not able to see the benefits within the couple years that you're here working with us, please know this is going to be good for the longevity of the organization, the longevity of the employees around you who are going to be sticking around, etc. So the three elements together now provide very strong motivation. So in any disruption, when we're communicating, we need all three parts. If there is WIFM, let's tell you about the benefits. If it's purpose, well, we got to connect your job to what it does to other people. And by the way, every job you can do this with. Even if I'm working with finance, accounts payable, they say all we do is process stuff. Right? We process invoices and make sure we make payments. Right. But whose life benefits when you do that? Connect the dots from what they do, their task, all the way down to customers, whether they're internal or outside the organization. So all three elements. Now, if I'm up in front of an organization, let's take this group here, right? This could be a lot of information to convey, and you're like, I'm starting to get bored with this. How do I do it in a way that gives you everything in a format that you will remember? And there's one way that's been working for hundreds, if not thousands of years, and that's by telling stories. And in fact, research supports the fact that if I were to give you a bunch of data that indicates something is true, but you heard one story which denied it, you're more likely to believe the story. I want to give you an example. Now, my wife is here taking photographs, and if I said to her, honey, where should we go for vacation? She will never say Mexico. Am I right?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm right. Let me tell you why. We've been to Mexico several times and had a really, really good time. But one time, her parents came back from Mexico, and they had a rough time at the border. They were worried they weren't going to make it back. Very threatening. Created a sense of, we heard the word earlier, fear. So every time we talk about vacation and where to go, if Mexico comes up, it's a no. If I went to the airport here, where am I again? I'm in Vegas. I go to the Vegas airport and I interview everyone coming back from Mexico, and 99.9% of them said we had an amazing time, no security issues, no fear, we would go back in a moment. And then I asked my wife, so 99.9%, what do you think? Are we going? She would say, no. Why? Does anyone know why the story is more powerful? Emotional reaction, and the emotion is sticky. People remember it first. We're going to come back to this point, but it's so important when we're asking people to embrace something that's difficult. If I want to tell them about the future, I'm going to go back a second. We got our three pieces. If I convey that and give them an image of the future that includes what's in it for them, a sense of purpose and hope in a story that includes a bit of emotion, it sticks and it's motivating for them. So stories work exceptionally well in this regard. Now, let's say you've done this. Okay, big disruption coming, we need to pivot, we make a big right-hand turn, and story's out. People are going to start talking. Right? There will be some level of buzz in the air. Now, in our organizations today, maybe they're physically present in an office, maybe not. So you might hear it at a water cooler, maybe at the coffee station, but often it's back channels, it's Slack, it's Microsoft Teams, chat, they're texting one another, but they're talking about it because this is significant. You need to know what they're saying. Is it good or is it bad? So, what you want to do? Get one-on-one. All right, so again, I'm going to huddle up with Dev here. hopefully make him feel comfortable, like we did at breakfast this morning, a bite to eat, have a coffee. And then I want to ask him one question. Now make note of this. This is critical, the wording. Here it is. What do you think is on people's minds? Now what I'm asking in that phrasing of Dev or anyone is to tell me what you think the people are feeling, thinking, saying. Now here's the catch. Is Dev going to tell me everything on his mind and how he feels about it? Absolutely. This will be the most biased conversation I'm going to have during the day. But I've created in that phrasing a tiny bit of psychological safety where he's speaking on behalf of others. So I can't shoot the messenger. It's not him. He's just telling me what other people are saying. But yeah, he's going to include everything that's on his mind. We have to give them that little bit of leeway to share without feeling threatened themselves. Okay, message is out. What do you think the number one question people have when you announce we're going to do something different? We've got a new strategy. Disruption is coming. What's the number one question that people will have? Anyone?
Will I still have a job?
You got it. Full points. Will I still have a job? I jokingly say to people, but it's half true. If you were to take one of the applications that people use on a daily basis and change the font, somebody will ask that question. Is my job going away? Number one fear. Now, when you're implementing this as leaders, you don't always know the answer to that question or any of the other ones that they're asking. So you will likely say, I don't know. We just heard it from the previous panel. It's okay to say, I don't know, but do not stop there. Do not stop at I don't know. Say this, I don't know, but here's when I can provide you with an update. And give them a date. You know why that's important? If you stop at I don't know, well then who knows? You don't know. I don't know. Nobody knows. This project is off the rails. It's going to fail. Your credibility just went way down. But if I give you a date, okay, there's a plan. We're working on it. I feel a little better that there's something I can count on coming up. Now, is I can provide an update, a commitment to provide an answer. No. 2 weeks down the road, I may still not know. But I will provide you an update. And maybe to say we're still working it. I don't have an answer yet, but you know what? In 2 weeks, we're going to do this again, another update. So the phrase you see up there, communication cadence, this is a secret weapon in organizations. To be able to say, the first of every month, we're doing one of these town halls. I'm going to take every one of your questions. We'll answer them to the best of our capability. Or every second Tuesday. But that rhythm of response and saying there's an update coming creates milestones, anchors in the future that people can take hold of and feel like it's not chaos anymore. I know something's coming. I don't know what it is, but I know the answers will come. All right, we got clarity. Now let's go to the next C word, which I get asked about all the time. Jeff, change is nonstop. So yeah, I know it's nonstop. Just read the news. The issue we've got is every time we do something different, we're asking people to try and manage it off the corner of their desk. But the corner of the desk is full now. Stuff's just falling off. They're out of capacity. What can we do? How do you see this happening? Have you seen people responding to there's too much change? What kind of reactions do you see in the business? Anyone?
Attrition, irritation, falling behind.
Falling behind, yes. Adam, I didn't hear you.
Attrition.
Attrition, yeah. People leave or they stop showing up. Okay, this phrase quiet quitting came up about 2 years ago. It's still sticking around. So we get motivational issues. The performance level drops. In fact, it's interesting. You have the full spectrum of emotions here. You've got folks who are angry and they will outburst and folks who go completely quiet. They're hibernating. So we have to be very cognizant of how people are reacting. Quick story for you. I was working with a large organization that was implementing brand new finance system. Very complex. They're replacing all their spreadsheets. Now we're going to have software that does the job for you. But it was so complex you couldn't just pick it up. It wasn't something you'd learn on your own. So I was in charge of rolling out the change. We communicated nonstop. there was no way people could not know about the change that was coming. And then we sent out screenshots, we gave them demos, so they got a sense of how this is going to work. And now we're coming up to training. Said training anywhere from half a day to 2 days long. Registration's going to start. Then we open registration. Interesting. We saw registration go like this and level off. Uh-oh, that's not good. Everyone needs this training. So we went to managers and said, can you give it a push? No problem, Jeff, we'll give it a push. And we saw it go up again and level off. You know what the problem is now? If they don't take the training, we won't get the returns. Leadership's attention is all over this to say, hey, we're making millions of dollars investment in this happening. If folks can't use it, we don't get that back. So we went out and asked questions. What's going on, folks? Why aren't you signing up for training? They said, Jeff, you pointed, we know what's going on. You pointed out some great benefits. This is going to upgrade our skills, good for the resume. But when you say half a day to 2 days, we hear spend evenings and weekends catching up on your regular work because we run pretty lean around here. Oh. So what I see as a benefit, you see as a punishment. Oops. Capacity. We had to get back in, add some more people to the mix. And there's one other thing we had to do because they reminded us, Jeff, at the end of the day, I mean, it's nice. You're going to feel good if I show up to training, but my manager is expecting to get things done, and they reward me. We hadn't changed the reward system. We hadn't said, hey, you need to take training. It's part of your annual performance objectives, right? So you get some credit for that. So 2 big factors, trade capacity. So practical things we need to do, but then something else gets in the way when it comes to capacity. You may see headlines like this. Some of these posts actually come from peers of mine that do change leadership, and I try to argue with them as like, stop saying this. We create a mentality out there, people expect that change is going to be awful. One of the big things I did during COVID was to remind leaders, you've got to write down what people are doing right now to adapt to change. So some of you started baking or cooking more when you were at home. You learned a new language. You learned a new instrument. Right? You were homeschooling. You picked up new technologies to connect with people because you couldn't go out in person. You're embracing change all the time successfully. And you weren't saying, oh my goodness, change is so hard, I hate it. Most people, when you have the opportunity to get a new phone, can't wait. I'll figure it out. So we have to be reminded, we're actually adapting all the time. This is the message that has to be within our organization. It's not just when it comes to disruption. We remind them regularly, you guys are adapting all the time. Everyone here in this room has adapted, I would say, over 100 ways before you got to this session today. Especially we're in a hotel. Everything's different for you. Your routines are messed up. You get into line for breakfast and you're kind of jostling for position with others. And then you realize someone's taking all the strawberries out of the fruit salad and you're a bit annoyed about that, but you adapt. It was me. When the detour happens, you don't pull over to the side of the road, curl up in a ball and wait for it to go away. You make a left turn or a right turn and you keep on going. You're a bit annoyed when you get to work, but you're okay. We got to remind people you're adapting all the time. In fact, I'm going to go further. We are uniquely well suited for change. Why do I say that? Who's heard the phrase, distracted by a shiny object, or the squirrel running by? Because our brains pick up distractions. Why? Because it might be a threat or an opportunity. Remember my no expense spared graphic? Fight, flight, freeze, flourish. We get distracted because it might be something we got to pay attention to. We are tuned into every single change in the environment. Maybe self-preservation is required, or maybe there's something in an opportunity for me. So capacity is not just about doing practical things of helping people work smarter. There is that, but there's also the mindset, the perception, where we can remind them, you've got a history of success. You are adapting all the time. You've done this before. Remember, there's some great benefits on the other end of this when we get through. So we got clarity, we got capacity, now continuity. Here's a letter from my bank. Who loves getting letters from their banks? Exactly, no one. Okay, so they did this beautifully. Opens up, Jeff, here's some changes that are coming, but where do my eyes go right away? What's not changing? I'm like, wow, a bank is getting it right. To remind us first, you're okay, we're not closing your accounts, right? Okay, no increases, wonderful. Now I can focus on what is changing. In organizations, we have to do the same thing. Yes, there's disruption, but let me remind you, leadership that got you here today is not going anywhere. The mission, the values that are so important to us, that make us who we are, we're not changing those. Now let's talk about how we need to adapt in the current situation. Here's the little diagram I use, which I'd encourage you, write it down as I go, because it's so easy to do this with someone, a leader, an employee, and ask them 2 questions. Thinking about this change that we've announced, I'd like you to tell me, how would you rate it in terms of desirability? Do you think it offers you something that's in it for you, that describes purpose, that gives you hope for the future? On a scale of 1 to 5, what do you think? That's easy for people to do. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Now, when you think about where we need to get to and all the things that have to happen to be successful, tell me, how difficult would that be? Yeah, scale of 1 to 5. Let me help you out. Does it involve any changes to the people you report to, the influence you have within this organization? Do you got to learn some new skills, procedures? Are relationships changing with individuals? Because I recognize those can pose real hurdles for people. And you get something like this. So this is an organization that I work with. They're implementing a massive new system for their salespeople. Customers going to love it. Size of the circle represents size of the group. Executives go, awesome, we got new dashboard, shiny reports, got data, woo, easy. Bottom right, sales team goes, oh crap. My quota's not changing, and now I got to master a new system. And not only that, you're telling me, some of you may have heard this, it's going to be vanilla out of the box, no customizations. Oh, great. We had it all set up the way we liked it, and now you're removing all the things we loved. Yeah, sorry about that. So, difficult? Yes. Desirable? Nope. This is the template. By the way, I'm going to have this for you a little later. But here's how we break it down. Bottom left, if it's undesirable but it's easy, I'm going to try and convince people, hey, this is good for you. Here's why we're doing it. But if not, I'm making it policy. You need to do it. Okay? Just get in line. Top left, easy, desirable. This is the new cell phone. Provide help if needed. Top right, okay, it's a little more difficult. Let me give you training proactively so you be successful. Bottom right, yeah, not so easy. We need to do some things different. Where do you think I'm going to focus most of my attention when I put my groups on this map? Bottom right. That's why it's so useful. And I can sit down and do this with anybody. Now, let me introduce you to a friend of mine that can help you figure out how to deal with folks in that bottom right. Who knows Billy? Right? Yes, okay. Some of you recognize this is an IKEA furniture instruction manual. And Billy is not a friend of mine. I've worked with Billy, and he's not very easy to work with. Here's the important point. I'm not a handy individual. I'm not great with hammer and nail. So what does IKEA do for me? It says, Jeff, can you go find, step number 1, 4 pieces of wood and the little spindly things and put them in the holes? I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Step number 2, can you find the screws and put them in the long board? Yes, I can do that. Step 3, step 4, and by step 247, I have a bookcase. One step at a time. When change is difficult, complex, breaking it down into small pieces. Right? So I can have someone, don't try and swallow the whole thing tomorrow, just do one thing and get successful at that before we go to the next. Thank you, IKEA. All right, we got 4 pieces: clarity, capacity, continuity, credibility. What's in credibility? Well, what I like to say is, if you've got all the other parts, if I've communicated really well, You understand what's changing, what's not changing, and I've given you capacity, but you don't respect the person who's leading the charge, it's still unlikely that you're going to engage, that you're going to adopt, change your behavior in some way. So what can you do? Well, you could bring in a celebrity to endorse it. That creates credibility, right? But I don't know, US elections, I think, proved that wrong. Sorry, Taylor. So you borrow it. So if I've got someone that's leading up an important transformation, important change, and they don't have a lot of credibility with the workforce, I'm going to have them borrow it. So I'm going to advertise, here's what they've done in the past to actually lead people through change successfully. And then secondarily, like this, I'll actually have leaders come up and stand beside them and say, we got his back, we got her back. We're checking in regularly because we all want to make sure this is successful. Now I've got credibility of the entire team. And then finally, you build it along the way. We've all been inspired by people who, during significant change, showed up. They met people and they asked, what do you think is on people's minds? And listened and took action. Down to the last piece. So for the last piece, I got to bring back my friend, Billy, because there's one other lesson that's so critical coming from IKEA. Top left, let me expand that for you. So to start off on your adventure with Billy, you need some tools. But typically, do you have a couple of screwdrivers, a pencil, and a hammer? Everyone nod, yes, yes you do. Good. So what am I doing? Capacity, I'm reminding you, you have skills you already have you can bring to the table. Check. But there's often one tool that you need that you don't have, and IKEA always puts it in the box. What is it? Yeah, Allen wrench, you got it. Right? So during transformation, during disruption, you've got skills that are important, but some you don't, and we're going to equip you. We're going to make sure you have what you need. What's in the next box? Well, apparently, if you try building this by yourself, you're going to be unhappy. That's a frowny face there. But if you find someone with oddly shaped elbows and a pencil behind their ear, you'll be happy. What's that about? Managers come alongside, or we set up super users or peer coaches, people we keep in the loop during disruption so that when people have questions and they want to go to a peer, not their manager, they can get that level of support. Let's go to the final box there at the bottom. What sometimes happens when you're building a bookcase, you have problems. You're missing some parts. One of the things that I teach organizations which really throws them is, yes, you got to talk about success stories. Some people are getting it and they're thriving during disruption, but not everyone is. You got to share those stories of failure as much as you do the ones of success. Why? Well, if I keep saying, look at this person, they got it, look at that person, they got it, and look at, Adam's totally nailing it here. Now, Dev messes up. He gets it wrong. How likely is he to share that with someone to admit, I failed? Unlikely. But if I share failure stories, even if they're made up, we expect this could happen, or we anticipate these kind of failures and demonstrate how we can solve it, he's going to be a bit more encouraged that, okay, there's someone I can go to and say, I need more help. So failure stories, just as important as success stories. So we've got all 5 pieces of the strategy accelerator. Now here's what's cool about it. Not only do I use this to help coach organizations around how they need to approach change, but I use it as a diagnostic. So now we can actually rate where you are and identify where you might be a little weak so we can support that. Not so strong in capacity, let's do some things to free up capacity. Credibility, well, it's going to take more time. I've got some actions for you, but perhaps we'll strengthen some of the other areas to bolster and offset that weak area. So as I said, I want to make that available to you. There's a white paper that has almost everything that you've seen here today, including the diagnostic in there. Please take a look. And of course, I've detailed some really strong parts of this in my book, which Adam has a copy of. Such a lucky guy. So before I finish up, I want to take a moment and just ask any questions I can answer, and certainly encourage you, please do connect in some way. I've got lots of business cards. Feel free to come up and grab one of those. But do drop me a note on LinkedIn. Questions I can answer about what you've heard today. Yes.
Thanks. Lovely talk.
You're welcome.
Brought a lot of clarity, of course. Now, question is about when you're creating change in an organization, you are attempting to work alongside the existing leadership team, not the top management, but team leaders, and they have time conflicts. Right. So you brought up something like that, so I want to expand on that area. Because how are you going to get them started in prioritizing the change process because they feel like they want to be empowered?
This is such a good question. Thank you for asking it. So for those who couldn't hear it, you've got leaders who are extremely, they're at a time deficit often, and they got to make this a priority. And I would say this is high touch stuff. You can't lead change from behind a desk. You've got to be out in front of people. So that's often a struggle. So my number one question I pose to them is, on a scale of 0 to 100, when you look at the success of this change you're introducing, what portion would you say is reliant on people? I don't care what number they give me. 50%, 75%, it should be high. If it's people, then you've got to move the people, right? So can we agree that we've got to do something on the people side? And then I get the yes, and I can start using that as a base to move. Another important thing is they'll say, well, time's really limited, what can we do? And I'll tell them, I can lay out the change for people in 5 minutes if you got 5 minutes, 10 minutes if you got it, 20 minutes, even better. But you give me any zone in which to talk about the change or to coach you to talk about it, I'll make it work. What is the most compact way to do that? Let's build a narrative. Let's build a story that helps you convey that. So those are two of my approaches that really work. Great question. Thank you. Any others? Time check from the back. What do we got?
3 minutes.
Perfect. Was there another question? Otherwise, I'm going to give you a yes.
What do you do if like the leaders in a company don't want to have the change, like the executives are resistant to changes?
This is a great question as well. So what if the executives are resistant to change? I know I asked this. You have an immediate problem because if people see that they're not doing it, they won't do it. It has to be lead by example. So first of all, I have to point that out to them. I have to reflect the behavior and say, this is what people see. And when they see it, they're not going to do it if you're not participating. The way to break down resistance is, again, getting up close and personal. So if I've got someone who's not participating in the change, I've got to sit down with them and understand their perspective. Hey, what's holding you back? I mean, for us to really move this organization or have this succeed, everyone's got to be supportive. So what's causing you to hold back a little? Because that's what we're seeing. And they have to tell me. If necessary, I will end run. I will go above them and say, you've got to get this person in line because it's holding back your change and it will cost you. And they'll have to take action that way. But that's unfortunately a common scenario that happens. Good question. Okay, I probably have 60 seconds left. Last story. Big change rolling out to an organization. It had a whole bunch of different components, and we started hearing feedback that went like this. This is the dumbest thing you can do for this company. And, oh, that's not good. So I said, I need to go talk to some people, got the blessing, went and ran some interviews. And people said, listen, you're changing how you number our SKUs. Right now, our SKUs are composed of a cost center, a year, a project code, and the category. Yes. And you're changing it to a system where it's easy for a computer to just assign a new number, 00001, then 00002. Jeff, when an invoice comes in for those products, we look at the code today and we know cost code, project, year, category. And I know within half a second whether it's correct or not, and I can approve it. With your change, I know nothing when I look at the code. And now I have to look it up. I have to look up screens and go through 7 different fields to figure out if it's correct. What took me half a second now takes me a minute and a half. What'd you just do to my productivity? Ruined it. No benefit, all pain. I said, thank you very much. We're going to give this feedback to the executive. I did that. They got back to me within a week. Said, Jeff, deliver this message. And I had to go back and say, folks, leadership has met, and they said, we're going ahead. We're actually going to do this change. But we want you to know we recognize the pain it's going to cause. Here's what we're going to do for you. We're going to produce a report on a daily basis that allows you to very quickly look up these new SKUs and know all 7 of those answers. It's not a perfect answer. There's still going to be some pain. We're not denying that. But we need to balance things here for the organization. So it wasn't a perfect answer. When it came to deployment, we flipped the switch. This thing went live. We did have some issues and we had some pushback, but on this one point where people said, dumbest thing you could do, not a peep. The reason being, the way that the communication was handled, the way that we asked questions and understood where people were, we expressed care. And care made a huge difference when it came to helping people dance through disruption. Folks, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here.